This conference will now be recorded.
Excellent. So we're going to continue on with the habilitation therapy, and we've talked about 2 of the 5 domains, communication and physical environment. And now we're going to talk about a 3rd domain, the approach to personal care and the importance of knowing the person. So this is usually one of the areas that creates the most anxiety. It gets us a little bit nervous because helping someone with their personal care is very personal, and it can probably create the biggest obstacles to care. And so really how we approach this, number one, having a deeper understanding of what that person might be going through, how they might feel threatened by having to get undressed and bathed with the assistance of someone else, and how we can make this an easier process for them. And a lot of that comes back to putting them at the center of the care, that habilitation approach, remembering that the goal of habilitation therapy is to create a positive emotions. The goal of that person-centered approach is to create a positive emotion in the person that we're speaking with or working with. So let's take a look at how we can help assist with personal care. It's important to understand that how we feel when we bathe or shower. You know, usually you feel quite good after a bath or a shower, but we usually have a set routine that we follow. And if you've always taken a bath, maybe you really look forward to that bath each night. If you always take a shower in the morning before you get going, it might be odd to have a shower at night. You might feel a little displaced about that. Whether you usually take a very quick shower or a long lingering shower can make a big difference. These are our personal preferences. And if you usually take a long shower and you're suddenly rushed through your shower because you overslept, well, that gives a very different feeling to the shower than the one, the shower where you're really relaxing and taking your time. Certainly, we need to reflect on whether we're comfortable with someone in the room when we take a shower. Most of us are in the bathroom on our own. We're independent. And so the idea of having someone in the bathroom with us could be a strange idea, and especially as we talk about the client group that we're helping, there tend to be much more modest people. Honestly, some didn't even have running water inside their homes. I know my mother-in-law herself didn't have running water in her home in Maine until after she was married. She used an outhouse all of her life. So understanding that this is a time where people feel quite vulnerable, as well as they may be a little bit out of their usual routine, it's important for us to understand that. So let's take a look at what you'll learn. You'll be able to understand and define graded supportive care. You'll identify 3 components of person-centered care approach to activities of daily living, abbreviated as ADLs. You'll describe the meaning of spend 5 to save 20, and identify 2 benefits of doing care with a person. So there's a lot of reasons why someone with dementia has greater difficulty with personal care. One is that they have decreased judgment and insight. So somebody who's not changing their clothes, number one, doesn't remember they haven't changed their clothes. They have decreased judgment, so they may feel, and they have poor insight, that they're very clean. They may not have showered for weeks or months, but because they don't remember that they haven't showered and they don't have good insight, they think they're quite clean. Changes in vision mean they're not seeing any stains on their clothes. And they're also having difficulty with multiple step tasks. And we've discussed this early on, but brushing our teeth, getting dressed, as simple as those things seem to us, and we've done them for so many years now, these tasks have many steps to them, and this becomes very overwhelming to someone who has memory loss, as well as poor planning and problem solving. So multiple step tasks become very difficult. Graded support allows someone to remain as active and independent as possible in their own care. And this is really important as we understand, how do we help someone get dressed? How do we help someone brush their teeth? We may not, early stage, have them lie down and get them completely dressed. Late stage, we are going to have to dress someone fully. And oftentimes that may happen in sitting or even in lying down at the very, very end stage of this disease process. But early on, they may be able to dress independently if we lay their clothes out in the correct order and maybe give just a couple of verbal cues. Or you want your shirt now? You want to put your shirt on or your pants next? Limiting to 2 choices instead of saying, what do you want to wear today, and showing them their whole closet. Do you want to wear this pink sweater or this blue sweater? Is a way that we can help them remain as independent as possible, but give them graded support based on where they are today. It's important that we understand people's preferences. So when we're doing person-centered care for activities of daily living, if we understand what their preferences are, it's very important. Do they like to bathe or shower? Do they like to bathe or shower in the morning or in the evening? I was always somebody who showered in the morning, but I know many nurses who spend all day on the hospital unit, and when they come home, they can't wait to get in the shower. They're on their feet all day, and they've been dealing with kind of bodily fluids and everything all day long. They can't wait to go home and get clean. And it's just a sense of washing the day off. So what is somebody's preferences? How hot do they like the water? I like the water hotter than many people. So that's really important. Do they use a face cloth, or do they just use their hands to wash their face? These kinds of preferences can make a big difference. Also knowing their sleep schedule as a preference. Do they get up at 7 in the morning, or do they get up at 10 in the morning? These are things that are really going to affect the day for success. It's important to know their life history, because we can use this information to connect and redirect. So someone who grew up in the city versus someone who grew up in the farm, while we're redirecting and connecting with someone, those conversations are very different, but it's important that they're relevant. Maybe a gentleman who played baseball or coached baseball or just loved watching the Red Sox on TV. Maybe he grew up in the Boston area and went to some of the early games. So we may make sure that we enter with some ideas of how the team is doing this year, and maybe even taking a few minutes to understand how the Red Sox were doing back in the day, and use some of those names so that we're connecting with somebody while they're executing their personal care tasks, their ADLs. Always, always introducing ourselves, even though you feel you go there every day. Remember, short-term memory loss means they may not recall you. And every time you give your name, you feel a little bit safer. Having a meaningful conversation is really important. We also call this spending 5 to save 20. So if I come in and I say, okay, come on, it's time for your shower, I may get 20 minutes of resistance. But if I come in and say, oh my goodness, it's a beautiful day and I've got the coffee going and there's a Red Sox game on in a couple hours, because I'm going to spend 5 minutes connecting with someone, I'm much more likely to get to that next step of executing getting dressed or having a shower or a bath, because they feel safe and secure with me. We're going to give positive validation. So something like, oh, that sweater looks beautiful on you, or oh, you've gotten this beautiful haircut. Boy, that woman did a lovely job on your hair. Did you see the barber recently? You're looking really sharp there. So giving some positive validation. We're going to, of course, avoid arguing or forcing someone. We're not going to say, no, come on, you are going to get dressed. I don't care what you say. I think one of the luxuries we have in home care is that we get to pace things on somebody else's schedule. We're not on a facility schedule. You're not a caregiver that has to go in and get 7 or 8 people up, dressed, and ready for breakfast. And maybe 2 of those have to have a shower because it happens to be their shower day. The truth is, we can roll with this in their home in a lot more fluid way. So if usually you give a shower on Tuesday,